events we saw on the political front this week. Right now, we're going to look at how a new small party made its presence felt in Parliament. The man behind it, ATM President Vuyolwethu Zungula, is here in the studio, and with him is the ANC's National Executive Committee member, also party spokesperson, and that Spule Mabe. We revisit the issue of whether President Cyril Ramaphosa answered his Phala Phala questions in Parliament the other day. Gentlemen, good evening. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you Vuyo, and greetings to my colleague Upule.
No. Welcome to you too.
Thank you for inviting us, and greetings to the President of ATM.
I mean, this whole thing has gotten South Africans talking. Everyone has a view on it, and you do have a view. But before we talk about your view, I just want us to listen to what the President said after your written question as a departure point.
The opposition and the governing party differ on when the president must answer the outstanding questions. The opposition insists that there must be a separate session before his next appearance.
Let us schedule the question session to be as urgent as possible, and the still remaining proposal is that it must be next week.
Next week, at the earliest convenience, in an oral session, the questions, the two remaining questions, get to be answered orally.
My plea to the meeting is that we agree that we will go back, not through a motion to the House to bring the matter, we will go back to where the incorrect, in our view, the incorrect ruling was made, to start from there, to then allow the president to finish answering his questions.
The ANC has a different view.
Our take is that, Honorable Speaker, through a motion in the House to authorize that the supplementary question be brought back to the to the agenda of the House of the National Assembly, the program of the National Assembly, then this supplementary questions must be brought back and be dealt with in the next question session, which is the 29th of September.
The Speaker has expressed disappointment at the failure of different parties to reach a consensus. She mapped out a way forward.
I am going to write a letter to the President to request a date so that we can complete this business. Honorable members are also aware that I cannot make a determination on availability of the President. I am not the one who runs this diary. So I will just write to the President, and I would expect that the President will then respond and advise us on a date of his availability.
She is expected to meet the ANC Chief Whip and the Deputy President, who is the leader of government business, in Parliament this week to thrash out the issue. Lula Mamakya, SABC News, Parliament.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Well, that, of course, is where things are from the conversations that took place among yourselves as MPs, including, of course, the Speaker of Parliament, as to how you're going to proceed from this point. But I thought earlier we were going to play that clip. But you are convinced that he didn't answer the questions the other day.
But Vuyo, if you were to ask me if I'm married, and my answer is that, no, this thing of me being married, it is something of national importance, there's interest, but I've been advised not to answer. I've responded to the question, but I've not answered. So our view is that the president must answer questions, not just merely say something, but not answer the questions. Oversight and the parliamentary accountability model works if the president is called to Parliament to answer questions. So if you were to listen to that answer of the so-called answer of the President, he speaks a lot about the national interest, how, he's been advised and how other parties are using this for mileage. And then he says he's going to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies. But if you read the question is asking, will he come to Parliament and allow himself to be engaged by the elected representatives of the people on this issue? The second part is, would he have done something different in terms of how he's handled Parliament? In his entire statement, he does not touch those two elements or those two parts of the question. That is why I stood up that day and said, he's not answered, he's merely responded. And there's a sentence he puts there where he says he's been advised not to answer. So I don't get how people are now saying he's answered, whereas in his own admission, he says he's been advised not to answer.
You're convinced he did?
Well, of course, Vuyo, and evening to your viewers. I think the fact that the President of the African National Congress, in his capacity as the President of the Republic, has allowed himself to be scrutinized by members of Parliament, that is the first sign of accountability. Of course, some of the issues associated with this matter are sub judice. It's matters that are being handled by law enforcement agencies. You would know that when cases are before the courts, you do not want to
But this one isn't.
Well, not the courts. I'm saying bear with me on that one, and thanks for the correction. But it is a matter that the police, law enforcement agencies are looking into. So there is an ongoing investigation. We were made aware.
But then that doesn't make it sub judice.
Well, the fact that the answers that you are giving out in an open platform called Parliament could be the very ones that you might also want to come and share with the police or those conducting investigation at the time that they engage with you. The President said that he was advised not to deal with the substantive issues because those are being addressed with the relevant institutions, these being law enforcement agencies. That does not take away the rights of parties in Parliament to call the President to account. The ANC is on record as saying the issue of Phala Phala has actually had an effect on its own standing as a brand and how it is perceived by the public. The President going out there to begin addressing some of the issues is part of making sure that we do not allow this issue to drown the brand of the African National Congress. And we can only do so when the President is seen to be accounting, is seen to be taking responsibility and taking the nation along with him. It's very important.
So just to go back to the quick yes or no. So do you agree that he didn't answer, but there was a reason for him to not do that? Or do you feel, as the President insisted as late as yesterday, that he answered the question?
Well, to a large extent, he did answer, did not deal with those issues that might be having some inference towards a case that is now being dealt with by law enforcement agencies. Of course, we will not take away the right of parties in Parliament if they want to introduce a debate of this nature again. We are confident that when issues like this are raised, our President will always make himself available to deal with this. In the same way that he did. He made himself available to the Integrity Commission of the African National Congress to be able to go and ventilate on these issues. The ANC is on record as saying that we did not say, no, we are not going to talk about this issue. We spoke about it. Members of the National Working Committee had made attempt to try and raise a debate on this, and they were advised that the best time to discuss these issues would be when matters have been cleared or clarified with the Integrity Commission. Then we are then furnished with a report. When we engage, we are able to engage from an informed view, because like any other member of the African National Congress, the rights of the President as a member of the ANC have got to be respected in the same way that all other members of the party who appear before integrity commissions are given that kind of protection by the party, especially where they are ventilating matters before the Integrity Commission.
Why, for you, was it important for the President to answer the question there in Parliament during that sitting, and not, for example, at some other forum or when answering questions asked by a state law enforcement agency or the Integrity Committee of the ANC?
The ANC Integrity Committee, it is a commission or an entity of the ANC. Us as members of parliament, we're dealing with a state president. Now, this state president cannot conflate issues between his own party, the mechanisms that his own party uses to hold him accountable, and us as elected representatives of the people. The second issue is that we're dealing with the head of state that is in a position or is given power to appoint people like your national commissioners, your judges, etc. So it is our view that he must have, we must have confidence in him that he's not, engulfed in criminal activities. Now, you'll recall that this scandal broke out in June this year. From June this year up until now, he spoke in the ANC conference in Polokwane. He spoke about it, meaning he respected those people there, but he does not respect the people of South Africa. And I also want to touch on the fact that there is nothing, with the president coming to parliament to account, it's not him doing us a favor. So he can't be saying now the president came because for whatever reason. It's a must, whether he likes it or not, he accounts to parliament. And the process that is followed in parliament, we write to the questions table in parliament to say, with the question and answer session of the president, this is our question. That department or table comes back to us and say, correct this, correct that. Now there is a question that will be approved by parliament. It gets to be sent to the president at least 2 weeks before the session, meaning by the time that the president was supposed to answer on Tuesday, he had more than 2 weeks to have an answer. But because he does not respect the people of South Africa, he goes there and he disrespects his oath of office, because his oath of office states that he needs to abide by the Constitution. The Constitution states that the president must account to parliament. Now, he did not account when he does not answer, meaning he's also violated his oath of office by not answering to a question of parliament. Now, the other entities, there's nothing stopping him from, complying with any questions from the public protector, from the Reserve Bank, from SARS, any of those institutions. Here we're dealing with Parliament, which is an institution that represents the people. And as you know, this issue has been topical. It has had interest in the eyes of the people of our country. That is why we felt it is important it be ventilated in Parliament, so that the people have got confidence that we as opposition parties are doing what we are supposed to do. We'll recall that even in the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, Parliament gets to be lambasted every time that it failed to hold the executive accountable. So we're doing what we are elected to do, what we've been lambasted and that we are not doing. So for us to make the president account, we don't hate him. We just want the president to account. If he did not commit any crime, it's all well and good. And lastly, him saying that this is before law enforcement agencies, in accordance to the rules of parliament, there's nothing that is legally prohibiting him from answering. There's no rule. Rule 89 speaks about something that is sub judice, meaning it is before the court. This matter is not before the court. With Minister of Finance, when he was accused of that sexual misconduct, he spoke out and said he did not do this. He even confirmed what his wife was doing, etc. Why can't the president do the same thing, but in parliament, and be engaged by members of parliament?
Constitutional obligations.
Well, with Vuyo, like I said earlier on, that just him making himself, the president could have said, I'm not going to parliament at all, even if it's to speak in broad terms and address the issues that are there, because this matter is now before the police. But what did he do? Understanding the very oath that he took, the responsibility that he carries as the president of the republic, he went to parliament to really deal with his own understanding of the issue, where the issue is at, and what is it that he is able to ventilate out to the public. The presidency, which he leads as the president of the republic, has issued numerous statements on this very matter. Actually, when the case was first opened at the Rosebank police station, which was actually also a wrong police station, because if you allege that a crime has happened, you have got to open it at the place where it took place. But this one was opened here in Rosebank. On the very same day, the presidency issued a statement. I happened to be with the president in Limpopo at the provincial conference of the ANC that the president of ATM is referring to. In there, as he was delivering his own address to conference, he spoke about the Phala Phala matter and did not evade talking to the media. When we left plenary, as we were leaving, we did what they ordinarily refer to as a doorstop. He spoke to journalists again, still dealing with this, because it was, that was the weekend. It was quite topical at that time. Everyone was really asking this. So, but I think the fairness, out of the fairness of all of this would be to allow processes to unfold, so that when you ultimately hold the president to account, you are also acting with full appreciation of facts arising out of investigations that have been done. This we've been told that there is an investigation that is ongoing. The president has already said that he will cooperate with this investigation. If questions are put forward to him by the police or any other organ of state, whether it's SARS, it's the NPA, or it's the public protector, he will be able to give answers that they may need.
I don't know what the marching orders, your party's marching orders were to your MPs, how they were going to handle this thing. That there were some worrisome statements. And that's partly why I thought we should have this conversation this evening. I don't know if we have a clip from the minister in the presidency, Mondli Gungubele, who said something that I think didn't sit well with a lot of people because of, well, primarily because of the era which just came from, where ANC MPs would rally behind the president at whatever cost, even trampling, basically throwing away, the constitutional obligations, of MPs or of the legislature in its as a whole. I'm hoping we can play this clip, and I want both of you, I want us to talk about it, because it was just one of those moments, that made a lot of people say, "Is that actually what is supposed to happen?" Because logic and common sense doesn't explain, that, because it then raises other questions. I'm sure we can play it now.
Sitting here, the president has adequately answered the question. And he has even referred to him being accountable. And so this is why you are saying you will not be able to prescribe. But I really think that the president has adequately answered the question. I will appreciate the speaker to invoke Rule 92 and also Rule 142, such that if the member is aggrieved, they knows what to do so that the matter can go to in-committees.
When questions are raised to the executive, what you are minimally entitled to is the response. Two, we don't have a memorandum here, like at school, where when we ask you a question and there's a prescribed way how to answer it.
What you are minimally entitled to is a response.
Look, it shows how much the president and the minister and the presidents, and to a certain extent, the ANC executive undermines the people of South Africa. You can't say what we're entitled to minimally is just a response, because when you ask a question, you deserve an answer, not a response per se. I can't ask you whether are you married or not, and you don't give, and that question requires a yes or no answer. You say anything and everything, but that is not related to the question that is asked. That is why even that day, the president said a lot of nothing, but he did not answer the question that was asked. So that is why for us, we believe that if he spoke in Polokwane, he also spoke to the media. Why can't he account? And if he's going to say he will cooperate, also Parliament is an institution he should cooperate with. And the Parliament as an institution has got also its own rules and directives as to how he should cooperate with that particular institution. So for us, we also believe, remember, he requested an extension with the public protector. He only answered when he was threatened with a subpoena. We also learned this week that even with the Reserve Bank, he did not answer. He's been given an extension up until the 8th. Therefore, you're dealing with someone who's not basically cooperative, even though in the public domain, he's saying he's cooperative.
So you obviously don't agree with the sentiments of some in the opposition who say increasingly the president is becoming rogue.
Well,
not answering, not meeting deadlines, that kind of thing.
Well, but I don't think that we should really make it a practice to just disagree for the sake of it. We have to understand the issues that are being raised and where we have got clarity, be able to clarify those. You have got members of parliament that are calling for greater accountability. So, for instance, the answers that the president gave in Limpopo during his address to that conference are the very same ones that he gave to the National Assembly. So we are not different there. To the extent that there is an investigation that is ongoing, there is a case that has been reported, I will cooperate with all of those processes. I will be able to table whatever evidence that I've got at my disposal to empower those that are doing this work.
Okay, let's take a couple of tweets in the little time that we have left. Ramaphosa didn't want to answer about audio of SSA money used for politics. Instead, Derek Mervyn was suspended. He fails to answer the SARB, Public Protector, and Parliament on Phala Phala farm. Where does Cyril account ANC is protecting him? Let's see if we can take another one. The president must take responsibility and must answer the questions instead of making lame statements. There's a difference between an answer and a statement. Let's take one more just for Ramaphosa did not steal our money. We don't care what happened at Phala Phala. We'll hold him accountable for government issues, not private and personal matters, which doesn't hurt the country. We want the Gupta family to be repatriated and nothing else. Maybe you want to take that last one.
Everyone but Vuyo has committed a crime in South Africa, be it the Guptas, be it Molefe, be it Arnold Singh. All of them must account. They must be subjected to law enforcement agencies, and the law must take its course. The issue that this guy is raising, that it is something that happened he did not steal public money. To have a president that is accused of money laundering and the subsequent crimes of kidnapping, torturing, tax evasion, for any citizen, that must worry you if you've got someone in the number one citizen of our country being accused of such crimes. So up until the president has been cleared, then we can believe that the president indeed is beyond reproach and he could have confidence when it comes to appointing of people in institutions. But up until now, we'll always suspect that whatever that he does, he's trying to protect himself from accountability.
He must account, period.
Well, the president of the ANC has never come out to say that he will not be able to account when called to do so. For the fact that he has made himself available to Parliament, he might not have given answers that satisfied members of Parliament. But just that one principle, making yourself available, even in the midst of issues that are being discussed about yourself out in the public, shows that you've got nothing to hide. He has made himself available. So basically that should be the minimum threshold. If members of Parliament so feel that the answers given are not sufficient, they are welcome to use the rule of the rules of Parliament to reintroduce those kind of debates. What we can assure them is that the cadres of the African National Congress deployed in Parliament in whatever capacity, when so called to account, we've always said that they must go to account. You have said, what are the marching orders? The expectation is always that when caucus of the African National Congress sit, it always drives one consistent message that public representatives of the ANC must remember that when they sit in the gallery, in the National Assembly, they've got to carry the interest of the people of South Africa first. That the president of the country has gone there, called by parties to come and account, is the first sign of demonstrating and displaying that we take the people of this country serious. Might have not have been sufficient. If members of parliament so feel, they are welcome to invoke rules of parliament to be able to call anyone amongst those that we have deployed in parliament to come and account. And we are confident that when so-called arcaders will make themselves available.
Gentlemen, let me thank you very much for your time. But before you go, let's get to this. Ndiketeni, that's a term made popular by former ANC President Thabo Mbeki this past week. The tendency among ANC members to say, I'm available, please elect me. Which, of course, from the conversation, well, from the speech he was giving at that memorial service was something unheard of in the ANC and not a quite the desirable behavior, the kind of behavior that the ANC should frown upon. It then took me back to an interview we did back in 2005, I think it was, at the University of Pretoria, where in the run-up to Polokwane, I asked him, well, for the first time, he was being asked for the first time, whether he would